Man, what's up, everybody? This is
What
Life,
it do, y'all? It's your boy Young Swallow.
and this is Just Do the Damn Thing podcast.
Yeah.
Do the damn thing, do the damn thing, yeah. Do the damn thing, do the damn thing, yeah. Do the damn thing, do my damn thing. I'ma do my damn thing. I'ma do my damn thing.
Man, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Just Do the Damn Thing podcast. Man, we talk about so many different things, and I love my brother over here, Suelo. We get it in on Just Do the Damn Thing podcast, talking about so many things that people want to talk about. So,
And hopefully you guys pick up some game from this. You know what I mean? Because that's the
Exact-
goal of the podcast is, just talk about different things, get different perspectives on different situations, and and you take what you can from it.
exactly, and we never claim that we know everything up here.
Nah, not
We
even
all we're
close.
doing is giving our opinions on stuff and seeing how it pans out. You guys can take it and run with it and see what you guys get out of it, and hopefully it's something positive because that's what we're all about is spreading stuff, something positive, and making sure you guys are the best versions of yourselves.
Be your best.
Exactly, and knowledge. Well, the application of knowledge is power, but knowledge is definitely part of that equation. So you definitely have to make sure you have the knowledge, and then learn how to apply that knowledge, and then apply it. That way, the experience you will gain wisdom. So that's what
Yes,
we're all
sir.
about over here. So Suelo, young Suelo, what are we talking about today?
Yeah, so today's topic is very interesting. So the one for today is here's the question. Should we try to prevent bad events from happening? If so, then how would we go about doing that?
Nice, nice, nice. You want to take this one this time?
Yeah, so I think I'm
All
up
right.
first. All right, so should we try to prevent bad events from happening? So my answer to this question in short is yes and no, of course, right? Which is probably what you're thinking too, right? You're like that could be the answer, because there's no absolute answer to anything. You know what I mean? Everything is like yes, no, little this, little that. Life is about the balance. You know what I mean?
I agree. Yeah.
That's what we try to strive for in life is that balance. But so yes, you should obviously try to prevent bad things from happening. So a quick example is like you're a homeowner, I'm a homeowner, we're married, you
Mhm.
got kids, right? You want to protect your family. So
Most definitely.
So before the end of the night, you're gonna go and lock the doors in your house. You're gonna make sure your windows are closed. You're gonna set your alarm. You're gonna do all those things to prevent bad things from happening, from preventing a break and entry, protect your family from injury, harm, things like that. That's an obvious one, right? Like yes, you want to prevent bad things from happening.
Yes,
in
yes,
that
of course.
sense. And then, so I also want to say is sometimes you have to just let bad things happen, right? So a quick example that I could give is like, let's say you have kids, right? I think Kanye West also used this example one time I saw in a podcast. It just came into my head, but let's say you have a kid that's standing on a table
Mhm.
and they're jumping, they're doing playing whatever, and you're like, hey, be careful, get down from there, you're gonna hurt yourself, you might fall, and you're trying to tell them, you're literally trying to help them, you're trying to prevent that bad thing from happening.
Yes,
in a
exactly.
sense, right? And then that child don't listen, they slip up, boom, fall off the table, hit their head or something, get a little injury or whatever, and it's like, I told you, you shouldn't have done that. But obviously, you're gonna help them up. You're gonna, cure them.
Console
you're gonna help
them and
them.
whatnot.
Exactly. They cut themselves. You put a Band-Aid on it. But, sometimes you have to let those things happen because now the child knows, hey, I'm not gonna dance on that table again. Because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
could fall and bust my ass like I just did right now. So
That could definitely happen.
so the best teacher in life is experience. I think you would agree to that as well. Obviously, I love reading. You love reading. We read books to gain this knowledge, but like you just said, applied knowledge is power. So you can
Mhm.
read those books all day long, but if you don't go out into the real world and try to apply what you've learned, you're not going to gain anything.
Exactly, exactly,
know?
exactly. Just like, for instance, just a small example
Uh-huh.
is, I read about stocks, right?
Mhm.
There's a lot of people that hear about stocks but don't read about stocks.
Right.
So they'll hear what hearsay type of situation,
Yep.
and then they get scared of doing it. I read it, but if I never get into the stock market, my knowledge is just pretty much worthless, because it's just like,
Yeah,
okay,
not worth
why
literally not
worth
anything
anything?
because you're not investing and growing that.
Exactly. I'm not putting my money into the stock market. I'm not doing anything. So learning about it is like, okay, why would I learn about something I'm not even using in my day-to-day life? So
Right.
for me, I read about it, and actually I buy stocks because I understand the the science behind stocks, and what it could do for my life, and then
Mhm.
I apply what I learned to my actual real life, and it's been working in my favor because I actually just went for it. And
Right.
then I learn on the way. Like, yes, I may make some mistakes here and there,
Mhm.
but then you learn from your mistakes, and then you gain wisdom. So
A
you
hundred
won't
percent.
you won't make those same mistakes ever again. Because, damn, I just lost whatever money. So
Exactly. Yep. So
same
yeah, so
situation.
experience is the best teacher. So and in those experiences, going out there, getting your feet wet, going into the real world, bad things are gonna happen. You know what I mean? You're gonna lose some money when you invest in stocks.
Very much
Sometimes,
so.
you
Very
know
much
what I
so.
mean?
Yeah.
It's gonna happen, but they make you better. So that's why I say that yes, it's okay to sometimes let bad things happen. And yeah, I'm not saying deliberately, consciously make something bad happen. You
Exactly.
know,
Exactly.
and then so like another example that I have. I remember years ago, um, I was on my way to a show. Right, I was gonna perform. I think it was the first show ever that I ever did. Right, and my insurance had just expired on my car. Right,
Mm.
so I didn't want to ride dirty to the show, at the risk of getting pulled over, whatever. I don't got no insurance, whatever. So I drove to my friend's house. I left my car at his house, and we went in his car to the show. And this was in an attempt to prevent something bad from happening, right? I
Mm.
didn't want to get pulled over, get a ticket,
Mm.
etc. Right?
Gotcha. Gotcha.
So I do the show, whatever. I come back to my friend's house to pick up my car, and there is a big old dent in my car, about this big. I'm talking, it was
Damn.
huge. It was like the whole quarter of the back bumper was just smashed in. It was like messed up,
That's
So
crazy.
that kind of taught me two things in a sense, right? Is one is you can't really operate off of fear. I'm not telling you to go out there and break the law or whatever, just be fearless because you're untouchable. But the more energy you put into fear, the more you're likely to manifest bad things to happen into your life.
Yes. I'm so glad you said that, because I say this when I teach people how to skateboard, right?
Uh-huh.
So this is exactly the thing I tell the kids that I teach is like, the reason why you're not landing a trick a lot of the time is because you are afraid of the trick.
Yeah.
So what normally happens is, the function of what you're supposed to do,
right.
but you're so afraid that you may fall that you purposely don't try to land the trick. So I'll see people do a kickflip, right, and they do it damn near perfect every single time, at least the rotation.
Right.
And I'm like, just jump on it,
Just land it,
land
yeah.
on it, and you'll be fine. But what they'll
They're
do, they're
scared.
so scared. What they'll do is they'll watch it flip over, and then they'll turn their legs so they don't land on the board, or they'll turn their bodies so they can avoid landing on the board.
Uh-huh.
So and what normally happens when you do that, you'll actually hurt yourself worse
Exactly.
doing that.
If you clip like the edge of it, that thing pops
Pops
right back
up,
up
hit
at
you in the mouth, hit
Yeah.
you right here.
Uh-huh.
You sprain your ankle because you're trying your hardest to not let nature go. The actual science go with
Right.
it. Because
Exactly.
there's a science behind it.
Yeah.
So if there's a rotation going on and you're trying to avoid the whole situation, you're
trying to avoid injury.
yeah,
Is what they're trying to do
they're trying to avoid injury
out of fear.
out of fear. A lot of the time, you end up getting injured.
Exactly. It's
So
worse. I have a friend that we used to play football with back in the day, and he loved to tackle. And he was like, "Don't hesitate. The second you hesitate is the second you get injured." And it's like, yeah, it's true, because like if you hesitate, you kind of hesitate because you might get hurt or whatever. You're gonna get hurt even worse than what if you would have just went in and got the tackle.
Exactly. Same thing with driving when you're in traffic. When you're at that, stop sign or whatever, stop light, and you feel like, oh, I don't think I have time to turn, and then you don't turn right away, and then you try to turn, and you're not paying attention, and the car just comes because you're not, because you hesitate too much. You just need to go, or just sit there.
Exactly. Make up your mind. You're either gonna sit there, or you're gonna take it all the way. Yeah,
exactly.
100%.
That.
Yeah,
it happens with everything.
Exactly. So what I learned that day was, one, don't put so much fear into what you don't want to happen.
Energy interferes.
What did I say?
Don't put too much fear.
Exactly. Yeah. Don't put too much energy into fear of bad things happening, because more likely that's gonna happen. So sometimes you just have to go with it. Sometimes you just have to let bad things happen, in a sense, not consciously, of course, but you just go with it. You just go with life. You go with the flow, and you learn
here's something
your lessons.
That's kind of off topic, but on topic at the same time. What you just said, right? So we're talking about bad things happening, but the thing that you just said right now about putting your so much mental capacity into fear. This also happens when it comes to living your life, when it comes to like finance, right? Or when it comes to thinking that you can achieve a dream. So people feel like they can't achieve their dream, so they won't. That's you're literally manifesting it yourself.
You're manifesting your own failure.
Yeah, because you're not even attempting to do it. And plus, just because you mess up one time, because I wouldn't even call it fail one time, you mess up one time doesn't mean you should stop.
Failure is if you quit.
Exactly.
That's failure.
Notice all the successful people are people that don't quit, which is exactly why we made that shirt and made the saying, don't quit. And that's part of our whole situation. And don't quit, keep pushing, and stay focused, because all those things are stuff that you will be able to manifest greater and bigger things. But keep going. Sorry.
Yeah, no. So I know. So that was pretty much it. You consciously don't allow bad things to happen, of course, but you can't prevent everything. So you just have to go with it. You know what I mean? Just take your shot, and some quote unquote bad things. Because at the end of the day, it's just perspective. But I won't go too much into that. But mistakes are gonna happen. You're gonna mess up. But as long as you learn along the way, that's what's most valuable.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
One thing you just said right now too is bad things are perspective.
Yeah.
So that's another thing too.
But that's a whole nother topic.
It is another topic, but it is something that needs to be said about what we're talking about. Is
for sure.
What do you believe what bad things are? Like, because if you are this actually goes into what we were talking about earlier off camera.
Right.
So if you believe in God, you know that doing bad things are literally breaking his commandments.
Right.
So his commandments, because sin is literally the transgression of God's commandments. So when you break his commandment, you are sinning now. So if you believe sinning is bad, why are you not keeping the commandments of God? If you are religious, this is one of the things that I've always had a problem with, and fighting the demons in me about the church, is because there's so many people that go to church and they preach the Bible, but they never follow any of the law. They sin every day consciously, and then they say, well, Jesus died for all of our sins. But I don't believe that Jesus just died so we can keep sinning
like every day.
No, we're supposed to, at least, like we said, stop fearing failure and just attempt to keep all the commandments. If that's what you believe. If that's not what you believe, then do whatever that you believe in, what's bad or good. Now, most of the time, we would all agree that like the at least the 10 commandments are things that are bad, like murdering people and all that kind of stuff, stealing and all that kind of good stuff. So for me, I believe that we are supposed to prevent those specific types of things, right? So if this is my brother right here. So if he goes and grabs a gun saying he's going to kill somebody, I need to make him accountable for his own actions. So I need to go take that gun from him. It's like, man, what are you thinking about? You doing that shit is going to mess up not only your life, but so many others in your family.
Instead of just sitting back and be like, I'm going to let this dumb mofo shoot somebody so he
Exact-
can learn this lesson.
Exactly. No.
You see what I'm saying?
Like that's the type of situation where you're
Yeah.
supposed to prevent something bad. If I'm smoking a cigarette, I want this motherfucker to say, "What the hell are you doing?"
Yeah.
And tell me my wrongs, because that's also actually in the Bible. Well, not necessarily smoking cigarettes, but you're supposed to love yourself
Take care of the
and
temple.
take care of your temple. But the other part of it is a lot of people don't know this,
Yeah.
but there's literally pork inside of the cigarette filter.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't know that. And swine is one thing we're not supposed to ingest. So that's actually a commandment in the Bible that we're not supposed to actually do. We're not supposed to eat pig or swine, whatever you want to call it.
I don't, just because it's not very healthy meat to eat.
But that's literally why they said it in the Bible, because
Right.
swine is unclean. They eat everything.
Yeah.
So the things that they ingest, you are
You're
inadvertently
ingesting,
ingesting because they did it. Which is why which is why with the whole movement of vegans and stuff like that, the whole thing is, you're not getting protein from just the animal. You're getting protein from what that animal ate. So most of the time, these animals eat fruits, plants, vegetables, and all that kind of stuff, and seaweed and all the other things, which are higher in protein than the meat is. So you're inadvertently getting protein from what they ate. So same thing with the pig. If the pig is super unclean, they're eating trash, they're eating all this kind of gunk, or they're eating their own feces. They eat all kinds of random things. The parasites are all through pigs, but yet we try to eat them like it's not a bad thing.
Right.
No, I'm slapping bacon out somebody's hand if we believe in the same thing. If I know that my brother here believes in the same thing, and you always talk about how you're you believe in God and whatnot. So I'm gonna tell you, hey, you better put that damn pork down, man.
Yeah, because I get veggie pizza. I don't do pepperoni.
Exactly. I don't do pepperoni either. I either do turkey pepperoni, or I just don't eat pizza, because I don't ingest cheese either. So I don't do dairy products. Now I'm not perfect with it because I still use butter, but that's the only thing that I would ingest that's a dairy product.
Right.
Everything else that's dairy I don't ingest. But so if somebody is doing something bad, that would be my way to prevent it, is actually making my brother accountable for what their actions are.
100%.
So they don't go through with that bad action.
And
now, other bad things, I'm not necessarily capable, because I don't have these random premonitions to be able to say, oh my God, we need to not do this, so the train doesn't crash. Like, I don't.
Exactly. Yeah, it's something you just can't prevent.
You can't literally prevent. So, but the things that you can prevent, you should at least attempt to prevent them.
And real quick, I want to just add this to what you just said. Is I feel like in the society that we're in right now, is we need to have people hold each other accountable, because I feel like now what's kind of being pushed in the mainstream idea is, oh, let people do whatever they want. You're healthy in any size, or you're free to do whatever you want. You're okay. You're this. You're that. That's fine. I'm like, no, I feel like in a society we should be able to hold people accountable and tell them, hey, dude, you shouldn't be doing that. You know what I mean? And then I want you to tell me the same thing.
That's
we
what I'm
should be
saying.
holding each other accountable,
but
rather than letting people just
throw their
lives away.
But you know why that doesn't work in our society, right?
Why?
It's because none of us believe the same thing.
Okay, yeah.
So if we're trying to control a mass of people, we all have different religions. We have different beliefs on those religions. When a lot of those religions came from the Torah, or came from spirituality things in Africa that were written before the Torah. So if everything is sprouting their own ideologies from those things, and we're all in a melting pot, we don't know what's good or bad, because all of some people believe in polygamy, or and some people believe that it's the worst thing you could ever do.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
in the Bible, a lot of people were practicing polygamy,
Yeah,
and
very,
God
especially
and
very early on.
yeah, and literally some of the prophets did.
Mhm.
So if the prophets were ordained by God and they were practicing it, like, are they bad? Because
Right.
God never told them they were bad.
Mhm.
If because throughout the Bible, every single time a sin came along, God was like, "I'm gonna kill you for doing this sin."
Right.
But for polygamy, all of a sudden, so
Yeah.
and then other people believe like monogamy is the ultimate thing. So
Right.
if we don't know what we believe in, how
Mhm.
can we keep each other accountable when nobody can agree
Mhm.
on a set of laws? And then we say on our dollar bill it says, "In God we trust," but who's God?
Yeah.
So
Who's God?
whose God are we trusting in? What are we trusting in? Are we
Satan.
You know, is that
That's the God they're talking about on the dollar bill.
exactly?
Yeah. He ain't no God though.
Exactly. We're worshiping the dollar is what we're really doing.
Yeah.
You know, in the capital, and we're not going to get all into
Nah,
that.
nah, nah.
But that's the thing. That's the
Mhm.
reason why it's hard. The only people I say that to say this: the only people that we can keep accountable are like-minded individuals.
Mhm.
The people that believe in the same system.
Yeah.
Then we can keep each other because we believe in a similar situation. So
Mhm.
I can keep you accountable. You can keep me accountable. But other
Yeah.
people, I can say it,
Yeah.
but it's not going to hold any merit to
Yeah.
them.
I know.
You
And,
know,
and
it's
it's tough 'cause-
unfortunate.
Right,
that's
and it's
the-
tough
the
because
truth.
you want to, and you're doing it like out of with a pure heart, with good intentions, and but sadly you can't do it, because you might offend somebody, somebody might be pissed off at you, never talk to you ever again, or whatever the case may be. And it's like,
Exactly.
dude, I genuinely came to you with good intentions and wanted to help you and see a different way of your ways,
Exactly.
and
And not everybody wants to be helped, especially in the way that you're presenting to them.
yeah,
So for me, it's easy for me to take what you say into consideration because we believe similar beliefs. So I can be like, okay, you know what, you're getting towards vegan, and you're pescatarian right now.
yeah,
So you're pescatarian, so am I. So there we go. We already kind of believe in the exact
Yeah.
same thing. So like I tried my hardest not to eat beef and stuff like that. So if I start eating it, I would want him to, if he catches me eating it,
oh yeah, you better know.
he's gonna say something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what, you're right. And in that moment, and that doesn't mean I'm never gonna backslide, because I'm gonna tell the truth. I literally have been eating chicken again, so it's like, okay, I need to go back to not doing that anymore. But it's one of those things where we're not perfect, but as long as somebody keeps us accountable, and it's easier to stay on path when you have a circle of people that are always keeping you accountable for what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
But they have to believe in what you believe in, because you're only as good as the people you hang around. So if I'm hanging around people that eat beef all the time, eat pork and eat chicken and turkey and all these other things, and steak and all these other things that may not be good for you, especially if that's what you believe in, and I'm hanging around with them. But my ideology is that it's easier to be coerced because all I'm around is that. So it's like nobody's cooking it what I want. So it's like, damn, I gotta just wait. And I gotta eat. So I'm just gonna I'm just gonna do it this time, and then it ends up being multiple times after that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of what I
And,
believe.
do you want to wrap up? Do you want to give us that example that we talked about off air about in the Bible, how they could have, in a sense, prevented slavery had they kept the commandments?
Well, yeah. So the Israelites, in the Bible, there was a group of people called the Israelites, and they were supposed to be God's chosen people. They're the ones that got the law. Moses. Right? He's the one that got the law from God and brought it to the rest of the the rest of of his people, which were called the Israelites, and the 12 tribes of Israel. Right? And one of the things that was said to them after they were led out of Egypt, which, from my understanding and from what I've been listening to, Egypt just actually means the house of bondage, in other words, slavery. So we got out of this place that was called Egypt. There was also a place called Egypt, but the place called Egypt just means the house of bondage, because it was later retranslated into Greek, so they the Greeks took over that land or whatever, right? But Moses led them out of it, and they said, and Moses was like, hey, And Christ is like, hey, if you guys don't keep our commandments, there's going to be a whole lot of curses that are going to go get upon you. And if you keep doing things of the heathen, if you keep doing their worldly things and their customs, they're going to turn on you, and you're going to go right back into slavery. But this time, you're going to slavery on ships. Why would you need ships to go back to something that you can just walk to? So to me, that sounded like the transatlantic slave trade, right? So which is what happened. People got kidnapped from where they were. Some people, not everybody, but some people turn on each other and selling each other into giving each other into slavery, and we got shipped off to other lands that we know nothing about. And that's literally one of the curses that is talked about in the Bible. So if we would have actually kept the commandments, which is what God said, if you keep our commandments, we'll make sure. God said that He'll make sure that we are going to be above everybody else. We're going to be the true people, the saints, of this world. But now, since we know they didn't keep the commandments, they got right back into slavery. So technically, in a sense, they could, yes, exactly. In a sense, they could have prevented that if only they would have, the same thing we're talking about, prevented bad things from happening. If they would have said, you know what, if all we need to do to prevent stuff from happening is make sure we follow everything in this book or everything on these tablets or whatever, or the Dead Sea Scroll, whatever the case may be, that's what we have to follow. If that's what we need to follow to make sure we don't go into slavery, that's what we need to do. But nobody was doing that, so here we are.
Right back at it. So
here we are. Now that's up to you guys to believe in those stories or not in the Bible, but that's just what I've heard of in the Bible. So
so that's it, guys. Let us know what you guys think. Can you prevent bad things? Should you prevent bad things from happening? If so, how do you do it? Drop the comments below. We love to hear what you guys think. Get that conversation going. Like, share, subscribe, do all those beautiful things. Support Just Do the Damn Thing and Open Mind Group. And we'll be back again for you guys next time. We're out.
Deuces.
OMG. Well, we keep going cause the party don't stop. We turn up, doing our thing, just living our lives, and we don't stop. Open Mind Group, so you know we won't flop.